people that the president has appointed. He says, left for the president, Nigeria will be seeing remarkable, measurable progress already, but for those who work with him. He sets an example by saying that when you go back to 1999, when the president took over, I mean, as he then was the governor of Lagos State all the way till 2007, it was one form of reform after another, even though in the middle of the transformation, Lagosians had also complained, given where Buba Marwa, the former military administrator, had left the state at that time. Oyema says the former military administrator had left what he called a big shoe for the former governor of Lagos State to fill at that time. So in his assessment, what is happening in Nigeria today is pretty much a replica of what had happened with Lagos, because to put it in perspective, Oyema says when Tinubu was governor of Lagos State, people also complained, people also expressed how that they were not comfortable with the policies and initiatives that he had introduced at that time. And that is pretty much what is also happening today under the leadership of President Bola Tinubu. I'm joined by Chibuzo Okereke, is a public policy and legislative analyst, to help us find insights and some sense in the midst of the noise in the country right now. Chibuzo, I was going to say Happy New Week to you, but then again, I'm not sure that's a very popular thing to say, right? But welcome to the program.
Thank you. Good morning, Nigerians.
Yes, this is beyond, in a sense, what Allen Oyema has said. It's also about what some people think about the government and the governance of this country as it stands today. Do you share those thoughts?
Well, I would say 50-50%.
Let's look at the first 50.
There's something Allen wanted to say that he didn't say.
And you want to say that?
And that's the problem I have in the country. If you go to 1999, those who are close to the government and opinion leaders like himself and business leaders, you would have had this same popular phrase: the President Obasanjo meant well for Nigeria, but the people working with him. If you come to the late President Yaradua, President Yaradua meant well for Nigeria, except those he surrounded himself with. Even under President Buhari, we have had the same thing, that this president had good intentions for the country. But those that he has appointed are the problem. And interestingly, under Jonathan and even under this President Tinubu, we are hearing the same thing. And I think that is the poverty of education of our democracy. This president himself has been frontal, right, in saying that the buck stops at my table. So I don't think anybody should make any excuse for him. But this is one president that is not probably using press to speak to Nigerians. He speaks to Nigerians whenever there is an issue. He will say the buck, when the chief of staff was attacked, with all kinds of allegations, he said, no, the buck stops on my table. I decide what happens here. This president has said, do not pity me. I asked for this job. I'm going to deliver. He has also said, be patient with me with the reforms we're implementing. If we don't do it, we'll get into a worse situation. That these reforms are going to turn out better for the country. Why I'm saying this is that we have to hold leaders accountable and call out the leader appointees where they have erred, rather than blanket the statement by saying, oh, the president meant well, but his appointees. If an appointee of Mr. President is getting it wrong, it's invariably going to affect the policy and vision of the president. So it's better to point out what is the wrong, what is the issue with a particular appointee or the office, so that you cannot separate a president from his appointee, because the appointee expresses the activities on behalf of the president. They carry out their functions on behalf of the president. Take, for instance, the ministers. I have argued that the ministers don't have any operational compass. The only thing that created the ministers are Section 147 of the Constitution. And they gave discretionary power to the president to assign duties to them. But what we have seen today is that the ministers have hijacked jobs of responsibilities of the agencies with statutory mandates that are under them.
And those are career civil servants for the most part.
Those are career civil, and the professionals. For instance, if you have a particular ministry outside Ministry of FCT, Works and Co. that have different job nomenclature, other traditional ministries are merely policy hub, policy centers, oversighting body, right? Not to operationalize. The agencies under them are a creation of the law with specific mandates, with specific powers, functions, including how those functions are to be performed. But it's not like that for the... Are you aware of any law prescribing how a minister should function? It is all according to what the president wants the person to do. So if any minister is getting it wrong, we cannot separate the president from the minister. That is one. Two is that this president has also been prominent. One of the presidents have been prominent in creating what he calls the Policy Coordination and Execution Center, and even appointed somebody to ensure that government policies systematically align to produce strategic goals.
That is a step in the right direction.
It was a step in the direction. The question is the office working? They have done 8 months now or more without even holding any review meeting. Maybe because of other issues within the country. But you don't stop the operational mechanism you have put in place to ensure that the policy thrust of the government is being understood by the people and the people can relate with it. Those reviews that is supposed to happen quarterly must still go on. It doesn't matter. I have argued that opposition parties or that are not the makeup of Nigeria. There are Nigerians that are expecting good governance, expecting accountability from the government. Therefore, government must continue to work irrespective of whatever the opposition thinks, to at least give account to citizens, right? Then the next, the third thing is this issue about focus on the presidency. You see, the president himself had done a lot of intervention with the subnationals regarding the subsidy removal program to make sure that the subnationals are able to handle their people. And that is what I find, wrong in our governance structure. Nobody is calling a governor today. I met somebody that is selling fresh juice, and he gave me a price of the juice. I asked why. He said it's Tinubu that caused it. You can imagine. So nobody thinks that a governor is responsible for anything except parties. Nobody thinks that a local government chairman is responsible for anything. A commissioner should be accountable, or head of agency at the state level. All those interventions given by federal government to subnational, who is interested in how they have been administered? Because if things go well at the local government level, go well at the subnational, definitely it will reflect on what we see nationally, because a lot of what you see are both reality and political perception that are being pushed. So we need to make sure that all levels of government play their role, and not just the federal government. This
current executive, under President Bola Tinubu, was inaugurated on the 21st of August last year. Now, just prior to that inauguration, you had already seen the list of the ministers. Of course, portfolios were assigned afterwards. What was your assessment when you looked at the array of men and women who had been appointed by the president? Were you impressed?
Well, you see, we look at individuals a lot. Yes, the quality of the personality of individual and their own understanding of what the vision is and the capacity they bring is very important. But the system is more important than those individuals. That is what I tell you. I gave you an example. If a budget of a particular ministry, for instance, is 200 billion, how much of that budget is domiciled at the headquarters where they are just to oversee? Today, you have 80% or 70% of those budgets domiciled in the headquarters, while the agencies under them create as specialized bodies with capacity, with the technical know-how and department to implement, are left with nothing. And that is how not to run a government. So we must be interested when we do budgeting. We send envelopes to to the ministers and not to the agency. So we need to rework the system and do bottom up. Rather than minister being responsible for allocating envelope to agencies, let it be by needs assessment. What does this agency need to address its mandate? Where is that agency in the one that was voted previous year? And what do they need now to improve? So that from what the agency needs, genuinely, we can now know what should go to the ministry at the level. And if because of poor resources, we are not able to allocate 100% of that, if we do 70, we know that in the next budget cycle, 30 is outstanding, while monitoring the 70 that has been allocated. So it's not much of the individuals that have been appointed, because if you insist that somebody should work and the person doesn't perform, it will show. For instance, among the ministers, Nigerians know those who have gone to sleep. I don't need to make that assessment for them. Even the president is aware, those who have gone to sleep. In a democracy where you had this kind of election, definitely there will be both technocrats and a politically engineered appointment. But it is how the system is designed to make sure, irrespective of whether you're a technocrat or you are, because you may have been considered due to political variables, but it doesn't mean that you are not, you don't have capacity or qualification to be in that position. So it is now how the system is designed to ensure that whatever is in your handed over to you, you drive it to give Nigerians results. For instance, if any minister is not able to show Nigerians a roadmap that he has developed in the last 8 months that aligns with the renewed hope agenda of the president, that minister should be shown the way out, because the person is just maintaining the status quo. He is not bringing innovation and creativity. Those who are changing things, we could see them. We'll see what the Minister of Interior is doing. You don't need to be in any political party to see that today you can, from your home, apply for international passport. You can, from any state of the Federation, make changes in your name if you have gotten married or something, rather than coming to Abuja to do that. All those, obstacles that were put in place, they might remove just with introduction of technology. We'll see what the former minister of, or the suspended minister of humanitarian, in fact, many people have argued that because of the suspension of that woman, the manifestation of this so hardship increased, because at the time you had somebody with energy, with commitment and passion. Anywhere there is crisis, she is there, providing interventions and what have you. And since that office has been experiencing a kind of vacuum, we have this gap that has now resonated into what a national cry for food shortage, all kinds of problems and what have you. So you see it, you could see the Minister of FCT giving outright mandate that we will not do variation. If you're a contractor, go on site. If we have allocated land to you in urban areas and for 20 years, 10 years, you have not done anything about it, you are waiting for it to be 1 trillion before you sell it, we are taking it back. You see people clearing everywhere. So when leadership is working, you don't need a prophet to interpret it. You will see the effect. The ministers who are also sleeping, we can see them.
Are they sleeping in literal terms, or that's just in a manner of speaking?
No, they are sleeping both in literal terms and in figurative, because we have not heard about them. We don't know what that means. The ministry pursued. We don't know what, we don't know their roadmap. We are not even seeing the minister himself speak to Nigerians on anything. So they are there, and we know them.
And according to you, they are sleeping.
They are sleeping, of course. And we don't need anybody to sleep at this time.
True.
At all. We don't need it.
And the interesting thing is, these were the same people who had been nominated by the president, sent to the Senate for screening. And last time we checked, none of them slept throughout the screening process. Even all through the inauguration, they didn't sleep. But now that, according to you, they are sleeping when they should be working, it's very concerning. But then again, the president made clear, very clear during the inauguration, that there will be periodic assessment, that those who have not been able to perform up to the benchmark, whatever that is, for the government, they will be shown the way out. And in the words of the president, you have to leave us. And I'm sure we're close to that, because at the end of 1 year in office, there's a pretty good chance President Tinubu will do an assessment and decide those who stay and those who have to go. Again, it's sad. Time will fail us to continue this conversation. I would like to say a big thank you to Chibuzo Okereke for coming to share this insight with us. That's where we'll leave it. Anthony Momodu and another gentleman will be here shortly to bring you Talk Sports. Do stay with us. Welcome to Global Morning.
The death toll from flooding.
Most time our politicians just bring in policies too, for sure.
Incidentally, we have several more stories.
The legislature was carefully crafted to
22.2% inflation rates as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
Before you call a police station, before they even leave, they'll take permission from
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
the struggle with ASU strike.
You have done your work, you have put us to the wall. We are not the slaves.
I'm not a small boy. You should have given me the report.
I have not seen the report.